Right. Hello, my friends. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024, and this is a daily brief. The Russian army has just surpassed 700,000 casualties since this war began. This is in the defense of Ukraine, 700,000 Russian personnel losses since February 24th, 2022. And if we look at that, Darth Putin, the parody cites that it's taken 77 days to get from 600 to 700,000 soldiers, casualties lost. That is 1,298 per day. Okay, and so over that time, the high for the month of September was 1,271. That was the highest month of casualties, and so it was even higher in October, and 1,298 per day. That's just amazing. But he remains a master strategist. If we look at this, what does that actually mean? 700,000 casualties divided by 985 days. That means there's an average of 710 casualties per day, every day since the war began. This is Russian casualties. But yesterday, there were 1,300, and it was like 1,400 a day before that. So we're at roughly double the amount of casualties of the average days. That's how hot it is right now. The Russians just keep pressing, and you'll see this in just a moment. Now, what does it mean for what's coming next? We're at 700,000. If the trends hold correct, the current trends for the last 77 days, if they were projected out into the future, you'd be to 800,000 casualties by Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday in the United States, January 20th, 2025. And certainly it seems that you'll be to that level, or roughly to that level, by the third anniversary in February 2024. So this is a high scenario, and the low scenario is probably by the 3-year mark. You'll be to 800,000 casualties. All right, day 985 of my 3-day war. 700,000 casualties are not a problem if you're willing to take 6 million. And unfortunately, there's some truth to this parody website that Russia's not yet willing to say, I've had enough. I mean, they're just going to keep sending more. Okay, overnight, Russia launched 80 Shahed drones, of which 77 were shot down, 50 by regular air defense, 27 by electronic warfare. So they just keep pounding Ukraine as hard as they can. Last night, Russian troops attacked Ukraine with ballistic missiles, guided aerial bombs, 80 attack drones, and this is part of the result. This is a shopping center, right? This is what a supermarket in Kharkiv destroyed by a Russian attack last night looks like now. And that they hit a supermarket, right? Okay, aftermath of the Russian strike on Kharkiv last night, a supermarket and a residential area were hit. Will Russia say NATO nuclear facility was in that supermarket? Because that's the kind of nonsense that they normally talk about, that it's something like, this is just a supermarket. Come on. Kate from Kharkiv, notice that she's from Kharkiv, says, Russia unleashed 3 separate barrages of glide bombs on Kharkiv tonight. It's hard to keep cool when all I want to do is scream. Can you imagine living under those conditions? Please, for the love of everything that's worth saving, help us. Ukraine faces now its hardest winter yet. I want you to go back to these pictures and see what's in them. Like, this is just some devastating destruction, but it looks like, from this, it looks like it's snowing, right? Okay, so Ukraine's about to face a very tough winter. Up to 8 to 20 hours, the power outages could last, and Russian attacks on Ukrainian nuclear power plants pose a serious risk. Currently, reactors provide 60% of Ukraine's total electricity. So that's the situation that they're in right now, just entering winter. Now, Ukraine has lost a lot of ground here. Well, when I say a lot, not a lot relative to all of Ukraine, but a lot relative to what they've lost in the past over the last year. Ukraine's allies have reduced arms assistance to the lowest of the war, withholding long-range weapons and still forbidding Ukraine from hitting Russian territory with Western weapons. It isn't only costing thousands of Ukrainian lives, but Russians are now rapidly advancing. This is from the Kyiv Post. Now let's look at this. This is the ground that Russia has taken over the last year. November of 2023, almost nothing. 32 square kilometers in December, 33 in January, 137 in February, 54 in March, 85 in April, 201 in May, June only 50. Then it starts amping up significantly, 177 in July, 350 in August. Now, that's also when we had the Kursk invasion as well, and so that changed some things the other direction. And then 467 plus 125 from Russia in Kursk in September, and 538 plus 85 from Kursk in October. So they've been doing this full court press in the last, say, 3 months. I mean, it's been significant. Okay, here we are with the ISW. Russia's advance in Savito, Kremennia, Seversk, Vuhledar. Battalion-sized Russian mechanized assaults involving over 100 troops and multiple armored vehicles resulted in territorial gains in southeast Seversk. And so they're pressing the line. They just are. Zelensky's trying to get control of this. Now, remember, only 10% of promised weapons from the United States has actually reached there so far from the 2024 bill that was passed into law after 6 months of delay, and then it finally got passed, and now, okay, finally, relief is coming. Well, okay. I held a meeting with Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi, Chief of the General Staff, Minister of Defense Umarov. We reviewed a detailed assessment of the frontline situation with the highest priority given to Pokrovsk, Kharkiv, Toretsk, Kupiansk directions. A separate report was made on Kursk operation and the destruction of Russian forces in specific areas near our state border. There have been significant improvements in partner supplies to the front line with an increase in deliveries. Okay, so that's good. But again, in the face of this, like, it's been a real challenge. Okay, meanwhile, Russian propagandist Margarita Simonyan asked all Russians to donate money to the Russian army. They've been wildly spending on this, and they're asking the population to give. Every person who has such an opportunity should actively participate in helping the front, she says. It's getting harder for Russia to finance the war economy? Well, that's probably a good sign. Ben Hodges, former General Ben Hodges, says, I don't want to hear any German politician say never again if Chancellor Scholz represents how most Germans actually feel about Ukraine and Russia. Germany is losing the moral authority it earned over the last 75 years with appeasement and failure to stand up to Russia. So Olaf Scholz is saying how Ukraine should take a neutral status like Finland had for decades, except Finland just became part of NATO for a reason. So, okay. Now, I missed this a couple of days ago. I highlighted the BBC article about the Russian drones hunting civilians, the human safari, but the Washington Post actually put one of these out as well just 3 days ago. And so I wanted to show you this. Anton Gurashenko talks about how Russians play human safari, and this is highlighting the article. Russians play human safari in Kherson by hunting civilians with drones, according to the Washington Post. There are increasing reports about deliberate Russian attacks on civilians by small drones carrying grenades and mines. It's targeted T. I'm not going to say what T is for YouTube. Local residents tormented by constant attacks. The Russian army has no limits when it comes to T, Ukrainian citizens. Okay. So that's where they are. So that's great that that's getting some play. And another bit about this, Andrew Perpetua is talking about this published article. I just published my latest research into Russian human safari against civilians in Kherson using data and analysis from Andrew Perpetua and elsewhere. We debunked an attempt at Russian war crimes denial because that's what they're doing. And so I want to again say thank you. I put this out about 2 weeks ago. I was begging you, please contact whatever journalists. If you know anybody, if you don't know anybody, any journalists, still contact them anyway. They need to be aware of what's going on with the human safari in Kherson, particularly, and throughout the country, frankly. But A number of you did. A number of you got back to me and said that you were part of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. A little bit more news. This deputy chief of the rear of Russian Federal Guard has been arrested in a bribery case. The bribery arrests just keep on coming. According to the investigation, this major general demanded 140 million rubles, or 1.4 million US dollars, from a supplier of modules for fast erecting buildings, threatening to otherwise cancel the contract. Now, it was all cool when he did it, but now they're using these as pretext to get rid of certain people, and there he goes. Okay, you know how I love drone warfare. Look at this. Interception of Russian drones with help of net launcher installed on a Ukrainian drone. So they have drones that are now shooting nets at other drones to knock them out. And this is just, it's absolutely fascinating to watch. Look at that. A net, and there he goes. Another net, and there it goes. Wow. Okay, drone warfare is the way of the future. You can see it. Okay, on this day, today, in 1956, several armored Soviet humanitarian divisions with equipment brought from the shop went on a special military operation to Hungary to liberate the locals from themselves. Remember, to Hungary. And who's backing Russia's play more than anyone else? Hungary. This all happened about 18 months after the Warsaw Pact was formed, the only modern mutual defense alliance in history to repeatedly attack itself. We genuinely pretend we can't understand why NATO is so popular amongst our former colonies. All my trolls are morons. So when France was leaving NATO in 1966, okay, you want out? Go ahead. Okay? Handshake, we wish you well. When Hungary was trying to leave Russia, column of tanks. When Czechoslovakia was trying to leave Russia, column of tanks. When Poland was trying to leave Russia, okay, Russia, Soviet Union. You know what I'm saying. Column of tanks. Lithuania trying to leave in 1991, column of tanks. And Gorbachev blinked. The people of Lithuania came out and surrounded the parliament building, the Seimas, arm in arm, rows of people deep, and Gorbachev blinked. When Georgia was trying to leave Russia in 2008, column of tanks. Ukraine trying to leave Russia's sphere of influence today? Yeah, it's on. But you see the pattern, right? Okay. That's all that I have for you, my friends. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.